Welcome back to Fox Recaps. Today, I'm going to explain the movie Cute and Dangerous, released in the year 2015. The movie opens up with someone narrating a love story to a group of eagerly listening children. After realizing that the narrator is telling them the story from the middle, the kids ask him to restart the story from the beginning. The scene then shifts to a house which is situated in the middle of a huge farmland. Outside, a middle-aged man, Mustafa, is heating some water in a pot while his wife, Nurten, is in labor under the supervision of some midwives. After Mustafa is locked outside for distracting everyone, Nurten gives birth to a beautiful daughter. Elsewhere, another woman, Bora, is also in labor, and her caretaker, Nekla, can be seen calling her husband, Haki, to inform him about the situation. Surprisingly, when Nekla mentions that Bora needs to be taken to the hospital as she's lost a lot of blood, Haki suggests she care only about the child. Unfortunately, Bora dies after a fair bit of struggle. Soon, Haki arrives there and reveals to Nekla that he is after Bora's property and that he never loved her. He also mentions that Bora has transferred all her property of $200 million to her child's account, but it can only be accessed after the child gets married. Despite his wife's death, Haki urges Nekla to not tell anyone that the child also died during labor. He then sends her to find a child to replace the deceased one. In the next scene, Nekla visits a gangster, Hilmi, who previously damaged her right eye. She approaches him and makes it clear that she's there to offer him a job. After a bit of consideration, Hilmi accepts and takes a little boy, Zarak, with him. After a few days, when Mustafa and Nurten are working in the sunflower field, Mustafa suggests Nurten to keep their baby daughter under the shade of a nearby tree. Reluctantly, Nurten agrees to do so and keeps the baby in a cradle under the tree. She then holds the baby's hand and talks about the bracelet that Mustafa made for her. After she walks away, a couple of men, including Hilmi and Zarak, come out of a car stopped nearby. Hilmi instructs Zarak to go near the baby and bring her to him. While Zarak is taking the baby away, Nurten notices him and tries to chase them. Unfortunately, Hilmi and Zarak enter the car with the baby and speed away before Nurten can apprehend them. Following this, Hilmi hands the baby to Nekla in exchange for a briefcase full of money. Nekla takes the baby to Haki, and before they leave the place, he instructs his men to kill Hilmi. Hilmi is then shot dead in front of Zarak, while the latter is asked to run away. The scene then fast-forwards a few years, where we can see Nurten still believing that her daughter is alive and will return to her one day. Surprisingly, Zarak can be seen observing Nurten and her suffering from nearby. He then decides to be a part of the family and help them in their work. On the other hand, the daughter, Zealous, has grown up to become a beautiful girl and also has a best friend named Meltem. Zealous is so obsessed with a birthmark on her chest containing the letters Z and C that she decides to wear a necklace depicting the letters. She also believes that one day a handsome boy will approach her and take her away to his place. However, Meltem labels all of these as fantasies and suggests Zealous live in the present. The next day, Meltem enters Zealous's room and urges Zealous to get ready for her engagement with Kemal. Turns out that Kemal is Meltem's brother and Haki's friend's son. In the meantime, Zarak is being chased by a couple of henchmen and is running away towards Zealous's house. While all the people are enjoying the engagement function outside in the garden, Zarak jumps over the house's fence and cleverly enters the building. He skims over different rooms and steals a couple of items. Right then, Zealous returns to her room after tripping over a guest and damaging her dress. Inside her room, she finds Zarak and screams loudly. Afraid, Zarak jumps from the window and lands on Kemal and his friends. He quickly steals Kemal's expensive watch and runs away from there. Meanwhile, Zealous comes out of her hiding place and approaches the window. She finds a shoe of Zarak and is overwhelmed to find the letters Z and C written on it. She immediately calls Meltem and shows her the shoe. While they're expressing their excitement, Haki visits Zealous and informs her that the one who just broke into their house is not a guest, but a thief. In the next scene, Meltem and Zealous can be seen with a police officer, Kenan, who brings them to the neighborhood where they believe the thief is from. Leaving Kenan, Meltem and Zealous enter a nearby cafe and ask the people there if they recognize the shoe. Surprisingly, Zarok is also there in the cafe, but he doesn't pay any attention to the ladies. When no one recognizes the shoe, Meltem comes up with a plan of offering people money in exchange for information. However, this only results in a fight among the people, and Meltem and Zealous are forced to leave the cafe. Outside, the two ladies get groped by a couple of men who start threatening them for money. Fortunately, Zarok arrives there and saves the ladies, impressing Zealous. After spending the whole night thinking about Zarok, the next day, Zealous again visits the same cafe. This time she's alone and tries her best to find Zarok, but fails. As she leaves dejected, she notices Zarok near a park and starts following him. Later, she arrives at a dangerous-looking place but does not stop following Zarok. To her good luck, she spots him entering a room and walks towards it. Zarok goes to the bathroom, and at the same time, Zealous enters his room and is surprised to find ZC written on every item inside the house. After taking a bath, Zarok returns to his room. Seeing him naked, Zealous becomes afraid and exits the room in a hurry, leaving her phone and surprising Zarok. In the next scene, Zarok visits Mustafa and Nurten, helps them with their work, and spends the whole day with them. At night, when he notices Nurten is still praying for her daughter to return home, Zarok feels guilty and wishes he could bring back her lost daughter. The next day, Zealous breaks into Zarok's house, searches for her phone, and finds it under the bed. In the meantime, Zarok can be seen returning to his room. When he notices his front door broken, he takes out a pocket knife and enters the room. Seeing Zealous peacefully sleeping on the couch, he approaches her and inquires about what she's doing there. Zealous then shows him her birthmark and reveals that it's actually his name. Zarok laughs about it and asks her to go away. In the meantime, two muscular henchmen arrive there looking for Zarok. Zarok notices them approaching his room and runs away from there with Zealous. Later, Zealous and Zarok can be seen enjoying their time together, with Meltem accompanying her. One day, when Zealous arrives home late, she gets slapped by Haki. She tries her best to explain herself, but Haki does not listen and asks her to remain inside her room. In the next scene, Kemal's father, Selim, can be seen worried about Kemal and Zealous's relationship, and Haki also mentions that someone is circling around Zealous. Hearing this, Selim and Kemal approach Meltem and ask her if Zealous is seeing someone behind their back. At first, Meltem denies having any information, but when Selim insists, she is compelled to tell everything about Zarok and even shows them his photo. Meanwhile, Nekla is taken aback on hearing the name, and she takes a closer look at the photo and the place where it was taken. Following this, Kemal and Nekla arrive at the place where she first met Hilmi. Surprisingly, Zarok also arrives there and immediately recognizes Nekla. Nekla then informs Zarok that she's ready to offer him more money, but he should stay away from Zealous. Hearing Zealous's name from her, he is taken aback and gets to know that she is the girl whom he stole from Mustafa and Nurten. When Kemal steps forward to threaten Zarok, he pushes him to a pool of soapy water. Enraged, Kemal tries to attack Zarok, but Nekla stops him and suggests Zarok stay away from Zealous. After they leave, Zarok returns to his house and becomes very happy to have found the girl he was desperately searching for. Later at night, Zarok visits Zealous, entering her room through the window, and sleeps beside her. Zealous is surprised to see him, but nonetheless, she requests him to take her away from the place. In the morning, when Nekla visits Zealous's room, she discovers that Zealous has escaped from the window. Haki gets to know about it and walks away, but not before slapping Nekla hard for her carelessness. Later, Haki tells Selim, who suggests they track Zealous's location with the help of her mobile phone. On the other hand, Zarok takes Zealous near Mustafa and Nurten's house. As Zarok contemplates his decision, he decides to rest near a big tree with Zealous. There, he asks Zealous about her favorite wish, and the latter replies that she wants to get her back to her mother as she has missed her a lot since her birth. Hearing this, Zarok gets up from his place and heads towards Mustafa's house. To his bad luck, when Zarok reaches a bit further, he notices Kemal and his men taking away Zealous forcefully. Zarok tries his best to save Zealous, but ends up getting captured by Kemal and his men, who tie and lock him inside his car's trunk. In the following scene, Kemal can be seen inside a room with an unconscious Zealous, trying to take advantage of her condition. Just then, Haki and Nekla arrive there, and he suggests Nekla stay there to take care of Zealous. After that, Haki approaches Kemal and informs him that he and Zealous will get married the next day. The next morning, Zealous wakes up and tries to escape from the place. She tries to open the door, but it is firmly locked. Unfortunately, the sound of the door wakes Nekla up, and she starts approaching Zealous. This scares Zealous, but Nekla calms her down, claiming that she wants to help. Nekla then reveals to Zealous that she is not the real daughter of Haki. She tells her everything about Haki's secret, but suggests Zealous act dumb and cooperate with him. Meanwhile, Kemal asks Selim about what he should do with Zarok. Selim suggests he take Zarok to the roof and throw him from there. Following his father's suggestion, Kemal's men bring Zarok to the roof. Kemal approaches Zarok and tells him that he's going to marry Zealous after a few minutes. He then gets a call from Selim and leaves the roof, but not before ordering his men to kill Zarok. In the next scene, Haki, Selim, and Kemal prepare for the paper marriage, and after some time, Nekla brings Zealous to the room. On the roof of the adjacent building, Kemal's men are looking for a suitable time to throw Zarok off the roof. Unbeknownst to them, Zarok takes out a pocket knife and manages to cut the ropes tying his hands. On the other hand, Meltem can be seen walking towards the building with some of Zarok's friends. Zarok continuously remembers Zealous's wish of being able to fly away from all the pain and jumps from the building. Fortunately, he lands on the adjacent building, breaking the window of the exact floor where Zealous is about to sign the marriage agreement. In the meantime, Meltem, along with Zarok's friends, enters the room and starts destroying things, allowing Zealous to help Zarok stand on his feet and get out of the room. While they're walking out, Nekla urges Zarok to take Zealous to her mother. Following this, Zealous brings Zarok to the parking lot, keeps him inside his car, and prepares to drive away from there. When Kemal tries to block their way, Zealous does not think twice and just runs over his car, injuring him in the process. On their way out, despite being injured badly, Zarok keeps on telling Zealous to drive towards the place where she got kidnapped recently. Later at night, the duo arrives outside Mustafa and Nurten's house. Here, Zarok reveals to Zealous that she got kidnapped when she was a little child, and her mother has been waiting for her since then. Zealous is shocked to hear this from Zarok and asks him how he knows all this. Zarok then tells her that he was the one who kidnapped her. After telling this, Zarok falls unconscious in Zealous's arms, leaving her worried and confused. Zealous then cries out for help, and hearing her screams, Mustafa comes out of his house to help them. The next day, Zarok wakes up and finds himself all bandaged and sleeping on a bed. He looks around and smiles after seeing Zealous sleeping on the couch. Slowly, Zarok wakes up, gets out of the room, and approaches Mustafa. Moments later, Zealous also wakes up and is served some breakfast by Nurten. Meanwhile, Nurten takes a closer look at Zealous and finds her to be extremely beautiful. Later, while Nurten is under the big tree tying a piece of cloth on her daughter's name, Zarok approaches her and apologizes for what he did to her. He then puts the small bracelet in Nurten's hands and tells her that her wait is finally over. Nurten looks at the bracelet and finds it to be the one that Mustafa made for their daughter. On the other hand, Zealous also takes a look at the photographs inside the room and notices a small baby wearing the bracelet. At this moment, she realizes that Nurten is her mother and comes out of the room to meet her. Nurten also finds out that Zealous is her long-lost daughter and runs towards her. Finally, the mother-daughter duo reunite and Mustafa joins them shortly. In the last scene, it's revealed that Zarok is the one who's narrating the story to the children the whole time. The movie ends with Zarok and Zealous driving away on a new adventure. That was all from the video. I hope you liked it. Subscribe for more content like this, and hit the like button to help us out. Also, leave a comment if you want us to recap your favorite movie. Until next time, take care.